Hello, everyone. I think we've a lot of people here now, so I'm going to go ahead and start. My name is Roisin Geraghty, and I am the scheme coordinator for the Ignite Doc Talent Development Programme. Thank you all so much for joining us today for this informal information session. We're just so delighted to get so much interest for year two, so it's quite brilliant. I'm just going to give you a quick rundown on the session today. It's probably only just going to be about 35 minutes, but as you probably know, applications are now open for year two of Ignite, and to coincide with the Docs Ireland Industry Festival that's happening at the moment, we're hosting this info session about the scheme. So we're going to have a few words from Michelle Devlin, who is the Festival Director of Docs Ireland, and Fiona Clark, who is the Festival Director and CEO of Cork International Film Festival, and they are leading on this cross-border partnership. So we'll have a few words with Fiona and Michelle, and then we'll have a couple of words from Francesca Nigrena from TG Catter, who's one of our scheme funders, who's been heavily involved with the scheme and just amazingly helpful and supportive to us all. Then I'm going to have a chat with a few of the year one participants of Ignite who are just finishing up their training at the moment. They'll be alumni soon. And then finally, I'll take a quick run through the guidelines, the application process, and answer any questions that come up that you might have. So I'll be keeping an eye on the Q&A box. So do feel free to ask questions. And if we don't answer them during the this talk, I will be sure to answer them if you just email me, and I'll give you the contact email address just at the end of the session. So without further ado, I'm just going to introduce Michelle and Fiona to say a few words if you want to unmute yourselves there.
Hi, Roisin.
Hi, everyone.
Do you want me to go first, Fiona?
Yeah, first, Michelle. Yeah.
So welcome, everyone. It's very exciting to be here today with you all. My name's Michelle. I'm the Director of Docs Ireland. And Docs Ireland is an industry-focused all-Ireland international documentary festival, as you probably all know. Our vision for the festival was to celebrate documentary filmmaking and to give a platform for national documentary, and also to bring international industry here to Ireland. We also, very importantly, wanted to be a hub for cross-border collaboration and international co-production, and a big vehicle for that is our doc market, which runs for a couple of days. We have, of course, all the industry events and talks and pitching sessions and all the things that you would expect, and keynote speakers. So a big part of Docs Ireland's very quickly after our first year, and our first year we exploded out, and then the past 2 years have been a bit more problematic, but we've managed to make a good go of it in the face of the pandemic. So the talent development very quickly emerged as a very important theme for us. And to that end, we had conversations with Cork International Film Festival, and I'm going to hand over to Fiona to pick up the baton from there.
Thanks, Michelle. Hello, everyone. It's really brilliant to be here, and we're delighted to be part of this, and we're delighted to be celebrating this partnership. Cork, I'm the director and chief executive of Cork International Film Festival. I'm sure most of you know we are the first and the largest film festival in Ireland. So we'll be celebrating our 66th edition this year in November. And like everybody else, the last year has been challenging, interesting, difficult, but also inspirational. And we now are in a position where we feel that having pivoted entirely online, this year we're going to retain some of that great reach and digital reach that we achieved last year, and do a blended festival of both in-person in Cork and online reaching nationwide. We present a very large programme of features, fiction and documentary, the largest programme of documentary in the Republic. And we're very proud of that, and profiling a documentary in the same way as anything else. And we have a dedicated industry, a part of our industry program, we have a dedicated industry day, Doc Day, and that will be taking place again in November, both in person and with some live streaming and online activities as well. So just look out for all of that, corkfilmfest.org. The Ignite programme is really important to us. It's one of our 3 key strategic activities, along with our education outreach programme, INTIN, which is Film and Mental Health for Young People, our new digital archive with UCC, and Ignite Documentary Talent Development Programme in partnership with Docs Ireland Belfast. And this cross-border partnership is extremely important for us, and we think for filmmakers, particularly in the changing times that we're in, not just pandemic, Brexit, the change in how Europe is working, but to be able to provide a meaningful ongoing training programme on the island of Ireland for emerging and newly established documentary filmmakers seemed really, really important to us. So super delighted. The first year, despite all the challenges, has gone extremely well. And here we are launching into the second year, and we hope to be able to bring first and second year participants together and learn from each other also later in the year. I would just like to give a quick call out to Roisin, who works both with us in Cork and in Belfast, and whose idea really an inspiration Ignite was, and brought it to me and Michelle. And I have a very fond memory, Michelle, of meeting up in Galway on one very sunny 2 years ago now, sunny day, having a cup of coffee and really just saying, let's just do it. Let's just try it. Let's see if it works. And, you know, I'm very glad that you were as enthusiastic and gung-ho as we were at the time. So really delighted to be launching the second year. And thanks to all our funding partners as well. And thanks to all of you for participating. So I'll hand back to Roisin now.
Okay, thank you both. Okay, great. Well, next up then, I might just invite Pruntius to turn on her camera to say hello and maybe say a few words. Are you there, Pruntius? Hi, Pruntius.
Hi, Roisin. I'm good. Great.
So just like to pass over to you, and just maybe if you could say a few words from, you know, a funder's perspective, a broadcaster's perspective on the Ignite scheme. And also thank you so much for all the support you've given us in the past year with the programme. It's meant so much to us, and it's really been just vital and incredibly helpful.
Gurmagad Roisin, agus tíomh gatainine in Gréil Goratán seo leabhar me Méarla mar níl mór an ama, but brásás the ceisní record in Gaeilge in the seo an phone or repost. So a lot of it is echoing what Michelle and Fiona said. When Ignite was proposed to us, we also jumped on it immediately. It totally aligned with what we were trying to do in DG GAR in terms of upsizing documentary and making documentary available to a wider audience, an international audience. We have a very, very strong TV documentary sector, supplying TG Cahar with primetime, fantastic single and creative documentaries in all genres. But we felt that the feature doc needed a push, and there were too many docs that weren't being seen by enough audiences on enough platforms, to be blunt about it. We worked quite closely with the first, the choosing of the first batch, and I have to say that the mentorship and the training was totally hands-on and brilliant. Challenging times, but maybe it helped. That gave people a little bit of scope, and that there seemed to be, and hearing back from the teams, like they seemed to be totally embedded in the development and in the projects. One team said like they were living the project for the year. They couldn't, which was brilliant, and probably people's availability was very good, thanks to COVID, all our availabilities. So we're looking forward jumping on board without any hesitation on the second year, and hoping again that bilingual projects at the very least, or maybe totally all Irish projects, will come forward this year. Again, there's an alignment in terms of creativity, in terms of personal narratives, and narratives, I think, this year that are aspirational, narratives that are positive, narratives that maybe look into where we're going, and gives maybe a lighter view on life would be really good for us. And you know, as a broadcaster, getting into something like this on creative documentaries, you know, they still work for us on TV very well, but we also will give the opportunities in terms of tax incentives down the road and submissions to BAI Sound and Vision and the IABF, the Irish Language Fund in the north, and also a fast track into EU broadcasters, in that we're part of the factual group and actually very much leading on that is a dedicated forum for creative documentaries. So it's a good way to get right in there with the broadcasters in Europe who are still, some have kind of backed off a little, but who are still commissioning creative documentaries. So that's it. And any questions, we're always here. But well done, Roisin. The first year was really enjoyable and great work. And the fruit of that work are at the pitching sessions and the one-to-ones, which are great. They're really strong projects.
Yeah.
Thank
you. Thank you so much, Francesca. Before I move on to meeting some of the participants from year one, just going to chat a little bit more about the programme. But so the scheme is project led, and you know, it kind of is endeavouring to support the progression of the selected projects, of which there are 6 every year, through training that focuses on development, the development process, all the way kind of from early development through to exhibition. So really the key aim, as kind of been brought up, is to foster a new generation of non-fiction creative documentary talent from all over the island of Ireland. It's very important to us that, you know, this is a cross-border scheme, and making connections between emerging documentary filmmakers from north and south is really important to us. Unfortunately, the participants in the first round have not met each other in person yet, but we're hoping to rectify that situation soon. But some of the key objectives of the training initiative is for the participants to gain a grounding in all facets of developing their project, to acquire market knowledge of the documentary industry, to learn about the current trends in non-fiction film production, and to provide like a very expansive understanding of the sector and the documentary landscape that's constantly evolving. Even, you know, for year one of the program, we were dealing with COVID, obviously, and that had a huge effect on the documentary industry. So it's really interesting to bring in trainers and filmmakers and industry players who are able to talk directly to the small group of Ignite participants and share their knowledge. And all of our speakers in year one have been so open and honest and helpful, and have mentored the projects that have come through, of which we're all very proud. Segue there into meeting some of the projects from year one. So I think we might have Michael Barwise, the co-director of Hy-Brasil there. Michael, do you want to turn on your camera?
How's it going?
Hi, how are you?
All
nice
good, all good.
You. I won't keep you for long. I know you're pitching soon, but so I just wanted to kind of take a minute with you just to ask a little bit, if you could just tell us a little bit about Hy-Brasil, the project, first of all.
Yeah, so I'm co-directing and co-producing along with Sean Mullen, who's he's recovering from COVID, which is why he's pretty wiped out. So in 1873, an island was removed off official charts, and it was 200 miles off the west coast of Ireland. This island's called Hy-Brasil, but since it kind of was removed, it's remained in people's imaginations and sort of escalated into like a Celtic Elysium. So in our documentary, we're going to take a voyage down the west coast. And we recruited a one-armed sailor, Gary Colours, to sail us down. And we'll encounter kind of different individuals along the way we're all kind of on their own Atlantic expeditions. And we're all looking into the kind of stories that have brought us there, and the stories that we tell ourselves, and how that kind of shapes ourselves and shapes our identities and how we see the world. Yeah,
it's a really amazing, really, really strong project. And we're absolutely delighted to have been involved in helping develop it for the past year. But I suppose specifically, I'd just love to ask, like, how you think Ignite helped your project to develop over the past, how long is it now since we started with our sessions last November in Cork?
Massively, like, because we came in really, really early. It was sort of pretty much just sort of initial kind of really treatment we went in. So I would definitely encourage anyone who's thinking of applying, like, you go in at any stage. Like, once if you just have like just your sort of first treatment, go for it. And through the Ignite thing, like, we've come, like we were developing the treatment the whole time, but also alongside doing that and kind of, because I think you're always kind of getting challenged in a way, like, because you're kind of having to put forward and kind of getting questions and sort of constantly, it's like a constant process of that treatment kind of evolving. And alongside of that as well, I think you mentioned about expanding a kind of sense of the doc world, which was amazing, like, and it is, and I think that sense of everything kind of changing, everything evolving, especially during COVID, rather than that being daunting, like, I think through Ignite kind of helped see the sort of the excitement in that, in terms of like of all the opportunities and all these kind of new spaces where docs can kind of live, and especially I think different types of documentaries as well, in terms of what, like, different types of stories, different types of forms, like, that there's always an audience out there. I think that was really key for us, especially thinking like the sort of sales sessions and distribution sessions, thinking, oh, we might be too early for this, but actually getting that information in an early stage has been great in terms of mapping out a path and knowing sort of where we're heading with it, and just that, so that, like, that stuff's been incredible and just really helped focus down the project and help us kind of find an audience for it in a way to feel clear and more confident with it, definitely.
Well, that's really good to hear. And actually, just something else to say that, like, I feel is really important, and I guess that's why I'm a little bit sad that you haven't met in person yet. But I feel like the Zoom has worked really well, because, you know, we've been able to bring in so many international speakers to meet you. But even just that process of sharing knowledge and the connections you make, that I hope will serve you, you know, throughout your career. That feels very important also. But I'm just going to finally ask, like, what's next for the film now that you're coming out the other end of Ignite, and what are your ambitions for it?
Yeah, so like immediately we have what's coming up next. We're doing a pitch for development funding at Docs Ireland, which this afternoon, and then we've got the marketplace where we're going to be meeting broadcasts and stuff there. And so the next step is to kind of get some development funding to shoot like full kind of teaser, and from there take it and hopefully go on the full production in either 2022, kind of 2023 sort of time. And do the full shoot, and then so hopefully by sort of 2023 we'll have the film kind of ready for festivals and beyond that then. Brilliant,
very exciting. Okay, you're relieved now, Michael. You can go and prepare for your pitch. Thank you so much for taking the time to do this.
No worries.
All right, bye. And next up we have Ross McLean, I believe.
Hello.
Hi, Ross. How are you?
You well?
I know you're a busy man this week as well with pitching and getting everything together to pitch. You were pitching at the Sheffield Meat Market last week. How was that?
We had about 3 days of meetings. It was good. Yeah, it was nice. Some it's good to start thinking about the project in certain ways, and some great questions were brought to the table. So no, thoroughly enjoyed that, but intense as always.
Yes, of course. So your project is the Untitled Hide Bank project, which developed from the short film Hide Bank that you directed a couple of years ago, that did incredibly well at film festivals and won awards and is an amazing short film. But could you tell me a little bit about the film?
Certainly, yeah. As you mentioned, it's almost a development from the short. However, it's a departure as well. You know, I felt Ryan's story, our protagonist, he's a young man inside a young offenders prison here in Belfast, and he was given the opportunity to work with a flock of sheep on the inside, and that actually encouraged him to, upon release, try and venture to start his own flock. And the film's going to be following him as we see him encounter these animals on the inside, and then as he journeys through the many Northern Irish landscapes, as he ventures to sort of start his own flock. Obviously, though, after a lengthy prison sentence at a young age, it's going to be an incredibly disorientating environment, and we've already experienced that with filming with him on the outside. So it's a story that's about community, and you know, Ryan is from a community that's going through quite a charged period in the history of Ireland. And for me, it's a film about how community can in many ways support us, give us a sense of identity, but how it can also pull us back and sort of affect us from reaching our dreams and our aspirations. So yeah, it's just we're currently in production. And it's just been a fascinating journey. Yeah,
that's great. And just specifically to bring it back around to Ignite, I'd love to hear a bit about how the program maybe helped you develop the project. And also I'm interested in because obviously this is a project-led program, but also for us, it's important that there's career development, and maybe we would hope that it's helpful to you to like look at your career trajectory, not past this film even. And, so it'd be great to just hear a little bit about that.
Absolutely. For a first-time filmmaker and producer, it's quite intimidating, entering into that process, especially when there's sort of money on the table, and the sort of documentary marketplace can be quite intimidating. And I certainly find that. And just to have something like Ignite that can prepare you for what that's going to look like, and, offer lessons or education or talks through each stage of the process. And that sort of development that we had over the course of the year, where it was just, the idea, the development, the pitch, and then moving into the more industry financial matters throughout, it's just been incredibly rewarding, and just offering, just a really steady foundation for us taking the film to the next stage and into the industry. So it's been invaluable. Yeah, absolutely.
Great. Well, glad to hear. And so what's next then for the film, and what are your ambitions for it?
Yeah, so we just finished Sheffield Market, and then we have some exciting meetings in Docks Ireland Market, and it's just continuing to sort of pitch the project. We receive funding from BFI Doc Society for production, so great. That's going to see us through for most of the production, which is fantastic. And then it's just sort of finding partners and abroad and here in Ireland. So yeah, that's the plan ahead.
Brilliant. Well, I'm very excited to see it, and it's an amazing project, and I've no doubt it's going to do really well. So thank you so much for taking the time to do this, and good luck with your Docs Ireland meetings.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Brilliant. And finally, I think we have Lorraine Harton, who is the producer of The Honey Pot, which is another Ignite project from year one. Are you there, Lorraine? Hi, how are you?
How are you? I'm
good. Thanks a million for doing this. I won't keep you long, I promise.
Oh, that's fine.
I know you're pitching today as well, so
yeah, we are,
lots going on.
Yeah.
So could you just tell us a little bit about The Honey Pot and where the idea came from, and a little bit about its development?
Yeah, so I'm co-producing The Honey Pot with Laura Smith, who's directing and co-producing. So The Honey Pot is a true crime feature-length documentary, and it's going to unravel the very bizarre events that led up to the demise and discovery of a wanted con woman called Julia Holmes. So it's essentially a mystery film, which is going to weave together the many lives of Julia and explore the motivations that drove her to just continuously con and compulsively lie her whole life. So in terms of style, structurally, the interviews are going to be quite similar, and they're influenced by the films of people like Errol Morris, and tonally it's comparable to films like The Imposter and The Jinx, which combine hybrid elements of documentary and drama. And yeah, we just thought it's such an interesting story, and there's been so much sensationalist media coverage of this story, but nobody's really ever looked into the psychology of what drove Julia to commit these types of frauds. So this is what we're hoping to do.
Yeah, that's great. Sorry, just as you speak about the project there, it's so interesting to me that, like, how different all of the projects that are involved in the program are, which is really exciting, because just to mention to everybody who's watching today is, we just want a good concept, really exciting documentary idea across subject, documentary genre. It's the strength of the idea and then the team behind it that we're really looking at when we're assessing applications. But yeah, The Honey Pot, it's such an amazingly strong, exciting story, and I think there's such an appetite for those kind of films at the moment. But could I ask you a little bit about how Ignite has helped your project?
Oh yeah, it's just helped massively. Like Laura and I, we've worked together before, but this is our first feature documentary that we'll be making. So we're quite new to the process, and we were also in the very early stages of research and development when we came to Ignite. So it's just been extremely helpful in guiding the development of it. It was kind of like getting an all access pass to this wealth of information and people that we just wouldn't have been able to access if we hadn't got into the program, especially in such a short space of time. The workshops that were organized organised were amazing. We had so many workshops with industry professionals, whether they were filmmakers or professionals in experts in distribution or sales or commissioning. And then so we would have workshops, and because it's a small group, they're quite intimate and they really encourage questions, and they look at every project and they talk about every project. But then afterwards, you also have one-to-one sessions as well. And then usually after that, because everybody was just so lovely and helpful, they would follow up with that and ask us if we had any other questions. So myself and Laura, we've found that really helpful. Anytime, you know, we had a pitch coming up or anything like that, or any sort of questions that we needed answered, we just found people were so, the industry professionals who were on the course were just so helpful in kind of giving us any information that we needed. And as well as that, just meeting the other participants. I know we haven't got to meet in real life yet, but we have been able to chat on Zoom, and everybody's at very different stages of their projects. So just seeing what everybody else is doing and their backgrounds has been great as well. And getting feedback from these experts too. Like, we are doing the pitch now today, the Northern Ireland Screen Pitch, and this is our first ever pitch. And Ignite has actually really honed our pitching skills, because every time there was a workshop, essentially you kind of had to pitch your project every time. So by the end of it, you're kind of, you know, you're getting better and better at it all the time. So and then as well, the panelists, a lot of the time on Ignite, we would have a workshop that would have a panel of industry professionals, and there might be commissioning editors. So just finding out what people are looking for. It's just, we just received so much information that we wouldn't have been able to get, especially in such a short space of time, if we weren't part of the programme.
Okay, well, that's great. Obviously very good to hear that. I'm delighted that it's been helpful for you. But final question, just what's next for the film for you? So obviously you're doing the pitch and you're doing the market, but where are you intending to go next with the film, and what are your ambitions for it?
Yeah, so we just produced a teaser. So later on today, we're doing the Northern Ireland screen pitch. So we're doing that this afternoon. And then later in the week, we're going to be doing the Docs Ireland marketplace as well. So we're hoping we're going to be looking for development funding to develop the teaser and add more key contributors and locations to the teaser. And then we're hoping to maybe start shooting in 2022 if we're able to get funding, and then ideally finish by maybe 2023. So that's the plan at the moment.
Great. Okay, well, best of luck, and thank you so much for applying and being involved in the program and being so engaged. And yeah, I'm very much looking forward to meeting you in person someday. Hopefully soon.
Bye.
Okay, thank you so much. Okay, well, that's all of the participants that we have with us today, but there are 3 other projects involved in year 1 of Ignite that I just want to give a quick shout out to: Learning to Fall, Beetle Island, and Searching for Space. And Searching for Space is actually taking part, the director and producer are taking part in the Edinburgh pitch today, so we're very proud of them for that. So Lorraine helped me a lot there with talking about what the training involves. So I'm just going to chat about that for a couple of minutes, just kind of a breakdown of structurally how Ignite works. And obviously year 1 was a bit different because we weren't able to be in person, and we are obviously mindful of the ever-evolving COVID situation and how that will affect the training. But as we discovered, having the online sessions was super helpful, because we were able to bring in so many international speakers, and so many people had more time to give us, and they were so generous with it. So I think that really played to our advantage. So from year 2, we're hoping to have a hybrid model where we have in-person and online training sessions. But the intention is that we start, so the applications are open now, and they will be open until Friday, September 3rd at 5 p.m. So there's plenty of time to get your applications in. But we'll be assessing applications in September, choosing the 6 projects and announcing in October. And then in November at Cork International Film Festival, we will be having our first training days, and that will include Doc Day, which Fiona spoke about earlier. So that is the first intensive training time for Ignite. And then throughout the spring of 2022, we will have in-person and online training sessions. Different things like, you know, we've sales and distribution training, market training, pitch training, finance and legals, various conversations with documentary filmmakers, directors, producers. Like, it's a very broad scope. We do a Meet the Broadcasters session, which is incredibly helpful to get an idea of the landscape of European and international broadcasters for documentary. So that will all happen in the spring, and then it's important to us that we send the 6 projects to an international documentary festival. In year 1, it was Hot Docs. So of course that was online this year, but all of the Ignite participants received accreditation for Hot Docs, and they also had a session in advance of Hot Docs with the Director of Programming, Shane Smith, and the Head of Industry Programs, Stephanie MacArthur, who were just so generous with their time, came in, had looked at every project, recommend films for every project to watch at Hot Docs, gave just really, really incredible advice and thoughtful advice. So I think having those people in such an intimate setting is really, really helpful, because hopefully then when your film is completed, you'll be able to knock on the door of Hot Docs and say, my film is done, remember me from the Ignite programme. So that's the International Documentary Festival portion, and then we wrap up the training at Docs Ireland. So this time next year at Docs Ireland 2022, which all being well will be in person again. The participants will have their final training days and will do the marketplace at Docs Ireland, which Michelle was speaking about earlier. So it's all kind of geared towards bringing your film to the market, developing, and as some of the participants were saying there, you're constantly pitching, constantly developing, constantly evolving your project as you meet every speaker, because every speaker, every trainer we had in made the participants pitch their project again and again and again. And, you know, they received that individual mentorship and just so much feedback. And I think that was really helpful in helping people to move fast on developing their projects. But so that's a little bit about the kind of breakdown of how the training works, but just a little bit about the application process, which is available on both the Docs Ireland and Cork Film Festival websites. So you can apply through either website. It's the same application form, and it's available in English and Off Gaeilge. As Pruntius mentioned, you know, having an Irish language project or bilingual element is very important to us. So we strongly encourage Irish language projects. So the application is available online. It's not too dense. I think it shouldn't be too difficult to navigate if you've already started conceptualizing your project. And as I previously said, you know, it's about the strength of the project and the idea, but it's also about the team behind it. You know, we really want to work with filmmakers who are developing their first or second documentary feature. So the guidelines are also, like, probably I won't go through every single one of the guidelines right now, but they're all available through the Docs Ireland and the Cork Film Festival website. So you can go through there and just go through, like, the eligibility. Is your project eligible? It's for filmmakers who are, you know, it's open to Irish and Northern Irish born and or based filmmakers. So you'll see that in the guidelines. It's first or second project, as I mentioned. Unfortunately, full-time students are not eligible for the training program, but, you know, obviously we as Michelle alluded to, you know, talent development means so much to us, and even if you're not eligible for Ignite yet, we want to know about the young up-and-coming filmmakers that are maybe working on their first documentary shorts. You know, that's a great way to introduce yourself to Docs Ireland and Cork Film Fest. Come meet us. Myself and Stuart and the programmers at Cork love meeting emerging filmmakers and seeing their shorts. And then when you start developing your first documentary feature, then come back to us and apply for Ignite. We really want this scheme to be a long running scheme. So as long as we keep getting the projects in, we can, you know, keep running the scheme. So that's kind of the majority of the things that I wanted to speak about. You know, have a look at the website, have a look at the application form. The guidelines are available there. And as I said, you know, you have until early September to complete the application. And if anybody has any questions, just please feel free to contact me. It's ignite@corkfilmfest.org. I will put that into the chat box here and send this out to everybody. So I'm just typing this in here, ignite@corkfilmfest.org, and I will get back to you and answer all of your questions. I think one of my colleagues has been answering your questions that have been coming in. I see there's one here that have been asked about EU national residents in Ireland, Northern Ireland. Yes, you don't have to. You can be born and or based on the island of Ireland. That's the only the guideline for that. But if anyone has, I don't think I have any other questions here, but if anyone has any questions, please do reach out. Like we're so encouraged by the number of applications we got in year one, and we're hoping that it will be the same again this year. So any questions you have, and if there's anything you're not sure about, ask the question, because maybe it's something that hasn't come up for us before, and then we can talk about it and discuss it with you. And we want to get as many applications as we want. And one thing to mention as well is that even if the project is not selected for Ignite, we remember projects, and all the team go through them, and then you kind of bank the filmmakers, and it just because you're not selected for Ignite this time around doesn't mean that the project is not viable for us. It's just a very we can only choose 6 projects, but we will track your project, and we encourage people to keep in touch with us. And we just really, I guess at the end of the day, I know that the Cork International Film Festival and Docs Ireland teams, what we really care about is encouraging documentary filmmakers and really helping to promote feature documentary on the island of Ireland and encourage filmmakers and help their work be seen internationally. So that's and help them to develop their career as filmmakers. So that is my spiel, and I hope it was helpful. Contact me at any time and I'll respond and help you any way I can with the applications. You've so much time. It's only the 16th of June and you have till the 3rd of September. I think, sorry, I just had a question come in. Are dramatic reconstructions okay? Well, I suppose it depends on the context. We encourage all, forms of documentary, hybrid documentary, definitely okay by us, creative documentary. We love all of that. It's a broad swath of projects that we're looking for. So, do apply, and obviously this isn't for fiction, but hybrid projects are very much encouraged as long as they're rooted in factual and non-fiction. I think that's it. I don't think there's any more questions here that I can see, but yeah, reach out to me, get in touch if you have any questions. Thank you again to Michelle Devlin and to Fiona Clark and Funchis Nigrania and to Stuart Sloan, our colleague at Docs Ireland, who helped do all the tech and runs the programme with me and with the teams. So, and to all of our funders and supporters of Ignite, and we hope that the scheme will continue to thrive, and if you continue to submit your projects, then we'll be able to do that. But thank you so much. I'll leave it at that, and please do get in touch if you need anything else. Thank you. Bye-bye.